How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi, host of Tier Talk, and today I had a question asked of me from one of our subscribers, and it basically is, hey Gange, why would an inmate choose me as a target for manipulation? What is it about me? What makes me vulnerable to that? And I think it's a great question. And I've covered it before in other manipulation videos, but really never devoted a full discussion on it. So that's what we're going to do today. So when I come back from our sponsors, let's talk about why an inmate would choose you to manipulate. I stand by for our sponsors.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Being a corrections officer takes its toll on even the strongest individuals. The constant need to perform at the highest level, putting your life at risk in a hostile environment, and the mental scarring of traumatic experiences. 31% of corrections officers show symptoms of PTSD, and 66% of people with PTSD also suffer with a substance abuse problem. The Transformations First Responders program is specially designed to help veterans and officers heal from the grips of addiction and PTSD in a comfortable, supportive, and serene setting. You are not alone. If you have questions about the services we offer, give us a call at 866-762-8454 to get more information on this affordable and life-changing program.
Thank you guys for listening to my sponsors. I'm going to keep this video quick because we covered this in other segments before, but I want to go back and rehash something. So when we're talking about why an inmate would choose me to manipulate or what would make me vulnerable, you got to be aware of two things. One thing is the situation that you're in. And the other thing is your disposition. So first, let's talk about the situation. Situations can make us vulnerable. Guys, situations have a very powerful effect on our actions, believe it or not. And inmates are aware of the situations that we're in. And if we have a habit of sharing our personal stories, they're aware of situations that we're in that are not inside the facility, that may be in our personal lives that can be used against us. Sometimes inmates can create the situation. Sometimes we create the situations, or sometimes voila, the situation just gets created. But either way, once the inmate's aware that the situation is ideal, they will pounce. And again, it's minimal risk, big reward. So who wouldn't pounce on that? I mean, most likely that probably defines their choices to begin with. Minimal risk, giant reward. So, certain situations that make us vulnerable, or any situations that, for example, isolate us from support staff, like if you're at a post that's far away from everyone else, or if you get in an argument in front of the inmates with other officers and the inmates are able to fuel that animosity and then divide you. The inmates want to be your resource, your sole resource. And in corrections, you are going to get stuck in ambiguous situations. Who are you going to look to? They don't want you looking to support staff. They want you looking towards them. So power situation, you got to be aware. You got to be aware of the situations that you're in, both inside and outside of work. Also, your disposition. Is this job for you? Is this job for you? Is this a job that you can do? What's funny is a lot of people say, well, you can't be afraid when you walk behind that gate. When you work in corrections, when you work in a prison, you can't show fear. I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to explain why. Fear kind of keeps us on our toes. So inmates, it's not about letting them see that you're afraid. It's about letting them see how you react when you're afraid. Did you freeze? Or did you motivate yourself to move forward? Because being afraid can actually be a good tool if utilized. I mean, in order to be courageous, you have to act on fear. So being afraid can keep me on my toes, But if I freeze, that's a problem. And inmates can set up situations to see how we react And then based on our reactions, you know, they can determine a game that's tailor fit to manipulate me, tailor fit to get what they want from me. Now, inmates even look at every time you do a tour, you walk in with somebody. And then the moment you're alone, the game's going to be overt and aggressive. You know, when inmates employ a game, they employ a game that's tailor fit for the individual they're going after. So it takes time. It's covert and slow moving. And then when you teach the course on manipulation, you go to share someone's story. Because remember, it's not just about the outcome. It's not just about the officer bringing in the contraband or having sex with the inmate. It's more about what led to that point. And you need to see those steps. You know, and sometimes that requires you to look at the officer or the dirty staff member as a victim. Again, it's not to minimize or negate what they did. It's just to understand the game and also to hold responsibility to the player. You know, if we keep on calling the officer foolish or the staff member foolish, we're really not learning anything. So it's more about what led to the outcome. Why did the officer make that choice, or why did that staff member make that choice to bring that item in or to have sex with that inmate? And you need to understand that process, that it's slow, it's subtle. And when there's a game that's employed, that game is there to fit your needs, because that inmate's observed you. They watched you every second of that shift. So they're looking there to see, okay, this is what best going to work for them. These are the tactics I need to employ. That's why the best advice is always to keep your personal information to yourself. Because if you give out your personal information like it's the daily news, inmates are going to go through that with a fine-tooth comb, and they're going to find ways to connect with you based on that personal information. And then they're going to find ways to use that connection to pull you out of your prescribed role. So basically, if you're a father and all you do is talk about your kids, well, I'm going to be a father now and talk about my kids. And hopefully when we're talking, you don't see me as an inmate, you see me as a father. And if you see me as a father and not an inmate, then you don't see yourself in the prescribed role that you're being paid to do. So keeping your personal information is important. It is important. Do not let that personal information get out. Keep that personal information to yourself. So, you know, again, just keeping this brief, because there's a lot of specifics here, and we could talk all day. I have a lot of manipulation videos that cover this. This is just another angle, but feel free to look at my other videos, because they're going to complement this general discussion here. But we're looking at the situations that we're in, how we react to those situations, and who we are. Now, whether we look at it in an isolated manner, the power of the situation, our disposition, or if we look to see how those connect. What did the situation bring out of me? Our awareness to that can put up a great shield that can help us defend against any game the inmates are going to try to employ. But the number one thing I want you to get from this video is never ever forget who you are dealing with. That label of inmate is important, because it reminds you of who you need to be when you are working behind that wall. Never let an inmate pull you out of your prescribed role, and never let them isolate you from support staff. Always find a way to showcase to those inmates that you're not alone, and that you have a good relationship with your management and with your support staff. Because the moment they see that you're isolated, they're going to step up and want to be your sole resource. And once you start finding yourself going to them, game's over. Game's over. So again, please check out my other videos on inmate manipulation. This is just another video that will complement that. And as always, guys, I love you guys. Stay safe. If the show is Tier Talking, please, guys, like this page, subscribe, interact, engage, and hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post up a video. Take care, guys. Stay safe.